switch off the lights, and step carefully into the unknown. Tonight, we ventured deep into the woods of Tennessee, where a centuries-old curse still lingers in the shadows, a curse that claimed lives, terrorized families, and left a mark on the earth that will never be erased. Welcome to the haunting of the Bell Witch, deep in the heart of Tennessee, where the trees grow tall and dark. There lies a cave, an unassuming, quiet cavern nestled in the woods near the Bell family farm. But don't let its peaceful appearance fool you. This cave hides something much darker beneath its surface, something that has terrorized anyone who dared to come too close. The story of the Bell Witch is one of the most chilling hauntings ever recorded in American history. And it all began with the Bell family. In the early 1800s, the Bell family moved to a rural plot of land in Adams, Tennessee. John Bell, a well-respected farmer, and his wife, Lucy, raised their children on this land, unaware that they were about to become entangled in a nightmare far beyond their comprehension. It all started on a quiet fall evening in 1810, when the family first began hearing strange sounds, scratching noises, like claws dragging along wood, coming from the walls of their home. At first, it seemed like an animal had somehow gotten trapped in the house. But when John Bell and his sons investigated, they found nothing. They checked every corner, every room, but there was no sign of an animal. The noises persisted, and they grew louder. At night, it was as if the house itself was alive, shifting, creaking, whispering, and groaning in the dark. Then came the voice. At first, it was nothing but whispers, soft, almost inaudible murmurs in the dead of night. But the voice was not like any human voice they had ever heard. It was raspy and low, like the wind itself had taken on a voice of its own. At first, the family assumed it was simply the wind playing tricks on them, or maybe even an intruder lurking outside. But then, the voice began to speak directly to them, calling out their names, revealing their darkest secrets. It called itself Kate, but it wasn't just a voice. It wasn't just a spirit. Kate was something else, something older, something darker. She claimed to be the spirit of a woman who had been wronged in her lifetime and now sought revenge on the living. The voice began to torment the Bell family in ways that were almost unimaginable. At night, the family would hear footsteps pacing through the house, but when they checked, no one was there. Then the physical attacks began. The children, especially young Betsy Bell, became the target of violent outbursts. One night, Betsy was dragged out of bed by invisible hands. She was slapped and punched by an unseen force, leaving bruises and welts on her skin. Her father, John Bell, wasn't spared either. He too became the victim of this malevolent presence. He was struck across the face, knocked to the ground, and suffocated by invisible hands. It was as if the entity had an insatiable thirst for torment, and no one was safe. As the days wore on, the haunting grew worse. The entity seemed to grow more powerful. Objects were hurled across the room without warning. Tables and chairs would overturn, as if an unseen force were throwing them with all its might. The walls would shake, the windows would rattle, and the sound of chains dragging across the floor echoed throughout the house. The family was living in a constant state of fear, unable to escape the invisible entity that tormented them day and night. But the Bell Witch wasn't just content with torturing the family. It had one goal, one mission that it would not abandon. The curse of the Bell Witch was not simply to haunt, but to kill. John Bell, the head of the family, was the entity's prime target. Over time, he grew weaker. His body seemed to wither, as if the life was being slowly drained from him. He suffered from strange, unexplainable symptoms, dizziness, nausea, and a debilitating weakness that left him bedridden. It seemed as though the Bell Witch was physically attacking him, and with each passing day, his health deteriorated further. Finally, in December 1820, after years of suffering at the hands of the entity, John Bell passed away. His death, though, was not a simple one. He died under mysterious circumstances. His throat was swollen, his face purple, and he had a strange, bitter taste in his mouth. Some believe that the Bell Witch, the entity that had tormented him, had finally claimed his life, poisoning him with some unseen supernatural force. Even after John Bell's death, the haunting didn't end. The Bell Witch's influence continued to torment the Bell family for years after. Some reports even claim that the spirit of Kate had promised to return again in 7 years, though no one truly knows whether that was the case. To this day, the Bell Witch Cave remains a place of darkness, a cursed spot in the woods of Tennessee. Many who have ventured near the cave report strange occurrences, cold spots, voices whispering just beyond the trees, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Some say that they can still hear the faint sounds of chains dragging across the ground, as though the curse of the Bell Witch has never truly left. Those who visit the cave often describe a sense of suffocating dread that fills the air, as if the very land is saturated with the malicious energy of the Bell Witch's curse. Some have seen shadows moving just beyond the reach of their flashlight. Others have heard their names whispered into the wind, voices that have not spoken in over 2 centuries. But is it really the Bell Witch, or is it the echoes of a dark history that refuse to fade into oblivion? Perhaps we will never know, but one thing is certain: there are some things that should never be disturbed. Some places where the veil between the living and the dead is dangerously thin. Do you dare venture closer to the Bell Witch's domain? Do you have the courage to face the darkness that still lingers in the caves of Tennessee? Or will you remain, as many have before you, far from the haunted whispers of the Bell Witch's curse? Come closer, but beware. Once the Bell Witch finds you, there's no escape. No one ever truly leaves. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey. Remember, the darkness is always watching, waiting. If you want to hear more bone-chilling stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe.